Good afternoon, dear students. Uh, Only 14 of you have joined. What about others? Are they going to join for the class or they're not joining?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. So, where are your other friends? Only 16 people are here. They are joining. Most of you have reached campus, I know. But why you are not attending the classes? So, yesterday's class, have you attended? Demonstration of cholesterol estimation. All of you have attended. Please respond, someone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, Vaishnav, have you attended that cholesterol estimation demo? Hello.
Sir, sir, no.
Yeah. So now I'm going to demonstrate the estimation of HDL cholesterol, serum HDL cholesterol. I'm going to demonstrate. So before that, I just want to know how far you learned lipid biochemistry or lipid metabolism. Okay. So I'm expecting some response from each and every student. I just want to know what are lipoproteins? Can anybody answer? What are lipoproteins? Anyone? In another 1 month, you are going to write second internal assessment, I hope. So, if you are not responding now, then I have to start my lecture. Then you have to listen and you have to close your book and you will be sleeping. I think most of you have just joined but not listening to the class. That's fine. That harms you people only. I don't have any issues. Can you see my screen? At least respond this. Can you see my screen? Yeah. At least you should respond to this, right? Okay. So now, in brief, I am going to demonstrate about the estimation of serum HDL cholesterol. So already, Dr. Neelima, madam, she might have demonstrated about the cholesterol estimation in the serum. Is it? Okay. So why we have to estimate all these parameters? What is the need? Okay. So whenever you are listening to some topic, why should you learn all these things? Right? So why you have to learn how to estimate the serum HDL cholesterol? You are a doctor. You are not a technician or something, right? So why you should know how to estimate the serum HDL cholesterol? So I just want to tell here, as a doctor, you should know what kind of tests they do. What are the methods available to estimate the various biomedical parameters? Okay, if you know that, and you can recommend the patient to go for that particular test. Okay, so until and unless you know the importance of the estimation of certain biochemical parameters, your diagnosis will become problematic. Okay, so that's why you should be able to answer all these questions and how many lipoproteins are there and what is their clinical significance, how these things are metabolized. Okay, so how the lipids are metabolized, what happens, what will be the problem if those lipids are not metabolizing properly. Okay, so there are various clinical conditions or the diseases associated with the malfunctioning of any of the metabolic pathways or the if you have high blood cholesterol levels, then it will be a problem. If you have less HDL cholesterol levels in your bloodstream, so that will also be a problem. Okay, so everything should be balanced. Sorry, somebody speaking. Any problem? No, right? Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. So now I am going to demonstrate how to estimate the serum HDL cholesterol. But before going to the actual testing protocol, I just want to give some brief background. So how the cholesterol is synthesized in your body? So, what is the major organ involved in these metabolisms? What is the major organ which is metabolically very active? Can anybody answer? Metabolically active. Major metabolisms will happen in this organ only. What is that organ?
Liver.
Liver. So the cholesterol metabolism also happens in the liver. So although cholesterol is synthesized in most of the tissues of the body, where it serves as a component of cell membranes, it is produced mainly in the liver. So you have already studied about the membrane structure, right? So in the membrane there are various proteins and the cholesterol and cholesterol esters, right? So many things are organized and they form the cell membrane. Okay. So cholesterol and cholesterol esters are transported in blood as lipoprotein. See, cholesterol is not soluble in the blood. Okay, so that's why these cholesterol will associated with certain kind of proteins and forms the lipoproteins, and these are transportable forms or the soluble forms of the cholesterol. Okay. Cholesterol is stored in tissues as cholesterol esters. So cholesterol cannot store as it is. Okay, it will be modified into its esters and then it is going to be stored in the tissues. So in certain endocrine tissues, cholesterol converted to steroid hormones. So cholesterol is the precursor for the synthesis of various steroid hormones. You all know that, right? And cholesterol is synthesized endogenously from cytosolic acetyl-CoA. What is endogenous and what is exogenous? So endogenously means within our body. So that is the endogenous process. Exogenous means through diet or some supplements. If you are taking something that is from the exogenous source. Okay. See, these are various products synthesized from the cholesterol. So bile salts, cell membrane, and vitamin D, cortisol and aldosterone, and testosterone and estradiol. So all these steroid hormones are going to be synthesized by using the cholesterol as the precursor. So measurement of cholesterol in diagnosis. Why we measure the cholesterol levels in to diagnose some disease? Okay, to identify some risk factors. You may develop some myocardial issues in the future, or you are suffering from some fatty liver. You may develop some hypertensive kind of disorders. You are obese. Okay, so many things we usually listen in our routine life. People will be struggling to get their weight down, okay, by doing various exercises. So all these things will help them to reduce the cholesterol levels, blood cholesterol levels. Okay, so here you can see this cartoon where the doctor is saying to the patient, so we found a bunch of these cloggings in your arteries and those are cholesterol pills. Okay, so if you have high cholesterol levels, LDL levels in your blood, what happens? Those will form a kind of clogging. Means like those are going to be accumulated in our arteries and they block the blood flow to that particular tissue. Okay, what happens if the blood flow is stopped to the tissues? Why we need blood to the tissues? What is the function of the blood? Somebody?
It allows oxygen to the tissue.
Yeah, that is the only function of the blood. Blood carries only oxygen and gases, not other things. Blood will supply oxygen and it also takes back the carbon dioxide and it also transports the various nutrients like glucose, some vitamins, some kind of fats. All these things will be transported to the tissues through the blood transport only, right? So not only the gaseous transport, blood is having various other functions as well. It will be having some immune cells, right, which will show the immune properties, lymphocytes, right? So all these things are there in our blood. Okay, so if this blood flow is stopped to these tissues, tissue is going to die because of various reasons. Why we get heart attack? If coronary arteries are blocked, what happens? See, coronary arteries are the arteries. What is the function of coronary arteries? Can anybody tell coronary arteries function? Where it supplies the blood?
Blood supply to heart.
Yeah. So coronary arteries supply blood to the heart, and those will be very small in size. So if there is any blockage to those coronary arteries, so these cardiac cells are going to die. If cardiac cells dies, what happens? Heart stops functioning. Stops functioning, there will not be any pumping of the blood. So it leads to many other complications. You will like multi-organ failure. So all sorts of problems will occur at once, and patient is going to die. Okay, so estimating some of the biochemical parameters are very important in various disease conditions. Okay, so that's why we need to know how we estimate these parameters and what is the importance, right? So in the next pages you are going to have some clinical postings. Okay, so you have to see the patient. If patient is obese and he is complaining about the chest pain or certain kind of symptoms, then you have to go for these lipid profile parameters. You have to write the prescription. You have to write your recommendation to go for this blood test. How you are going to do that? Unless and until no, you people know what is the importance of these biochemical parameters. So how to interpret those values? Once you write the lipid profile, and patient go and he gives his blood and he is going to get the report. So you have to see that report and you have to interpret that, and you should be in a position to cross check with the technician if you have any doubt, right? So for these things you have to have some biochemical aspects. Okay, so elevated cholesterol levels are major component in hereditary hyperlipoproteinemias. So always hyper indicates high levels of lipids. Okay. So cholesterol determinations are also frequently a part of. So if you have any doubt about the thyroid function of a patient, that time also you have to write for the cholesterol estimation or the complete lipid profile estimation. Okay. So liver function, renal function, and diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus is a metabolic disorder, right? So there will be a lot of issues because of the development of insulin resistance or the lack of insulin. So this insulin will regulate all these metabolic processes, metabolism of lipid it will regulate, and glucose also it will regulate. So disturbance in any of these metabolic pathways leads to various kind of disorders. So you have to monitor these cholesterol levels or the lipid profile parameters in the blood in all these conditions. Okay, so if patient is under steroid medication, so nowadays you might have heard all these COVID infected patients who are severely affected, those people are under medication of steroid drugs. Steroids, what they do? Steroids are going to increase the blood glucose levels, or those will increase the blood lipid profile parameters. So you have to carefully monitor all these biochemical parameters, and you have to balance the medical prescription. Okay. So this table is showing some of the characteristics of the major lipoproteins. So I hope you all know what are all the lipoproteins there in our body and what is their function, right? So chylomicrons and their density, and what is the percentage of triglycerides in chylomicrons, what is the percentage of cholesterol, phospholipid. Okay, so these chylomicrons will deliver dietary lipids. Chylomicron remnants also you can find in our blood. So those return dietary lipids to the liver. Okay, so very low density lipids, these deliver endogenous lipids. Okay, so ideal is intermediate density lipids. Okay, these also return endogenous lipids to the liver, and these are the precursors of LDL. Okay, so before LDL formation, these will be acting as a precursor. Okay, so LDL is low density lipoprotein. So its density is 1.019, and these deliver cholesterol to the cells. Whenever there is a requirement of cholesterol to the various cells or the tissues of our body, this LDL will transport the cholesterol from liver to the tissues. Okay. Then HDL. HDL is high density lipoprotein. So these two will function opposite direction. This will be LDL will be delivering the cholesterol from the liver to the tissues. HDL will transport the cholesterol from the tissues to the liver. Okay, so that's why HDL we call it as a good cholesterol. LDL is a bad cholesterol. We all know that, right? So why we call LDL is a bad cholesterol means it will increase the risk of atherosclerosis kind of situations, because it is going to deliver the cholesterol to the tissues. So HDL is going to clear all that cholesterol which is there in the tissues, and it will take back to the liver. Okay, this reverse cholesterol transport. Okay, so if somebody asks what is reverse cholesterol transport and what is the role of HDL, you should be able to answer. Okay, so there are various methods to separate lipoproteins. I just thought to show this figure. There is a technique called ultracentrifugation. Centrifugation is a technique where you are going to spin particular sample at high rotations. Okay, under high speed. Okay, if you rotate something under high speed, some of the things are going to separate based on their density. Okay, ultracentrifugation helps in the separation of various molecules based on their density. Okay, so that is the ultracentrifugation technique. So we know like HDL is high dense. Okay, so this will be centrifuged or the precipitated fast when compared to the other lipoprotein types. Okay, so there is one more technique. I just want to tell the name. That is the electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is a technique where it is going to separate the compounds or the components of a sample based on their polarity, right? Based on their charge. Okay. So this mobility, suppose if you have applied the sample here, okay, then this will be connected to the cathode and anode. Okay, this electricity we are going to give, and this particular slide will be in buffer. Buffer will maintain a constant pH. Okay, so when you expose this sample to this electric field, these things will move in this direction. Mobility is in this direction. So HDL will move faster than the other lipoproteins because HDL will be having high protein content. Highly charged molecule concentration is more in HDL when compared to the chylomicrons or LDL or VLDL. So these will move faster. Okay. So this is the suppository. So you can see this, right? So this boat is like a protein molecule. This protein molecule will help in the transport of triglycerides, cholesterol, and other things, right? So this complete thing is a lipoprotein. What protein is functioning here? This protein is just acting as a carrier molecule, and it will help the lipoproteins to solubilize in our blood. Okay. Until and unless it is solubilized in our blood, it cannot be transported easily. Okay. So this is a kind of cartoon representation. So apolipoprotein plus lipid. So it is going to form lipoprotein. So this is a kind of lipoprotein structure. It looks like your what we call some kind of laddu. Okay, so which is having all kinds of various components are embedded. Okay, protein is there, cholesterol esters are there, and cholesterol is there, and triglycerides are there, and phospholipids. So all together are going to form the lipoprotein. So this is the pie chart again representing the same thing which I have shown earlier in the tabular form. So this is a chylomicron where you can see high percentage of triglycerides, right? So this is the one, triglycerides are 50 to 65%. Okay, so this is the VLDL structure, and this is the LDL structure, and this is the HDL. You can see here we can find very less concentration of cholesterol or triglycerides in the HDL when compared to all these things. But LDL is having 45% cholesterol. So that's why LDL is a bad cholesterol and HDL is a good cholesterol. So if HDL levels are high means, so this HDL is helping to repair your body. When there are high levels of cholesterol in your body, HDL helps to transport, that's what I told, reverse cholesterol transport. Okay. So what is high density lipoprotein cholesterol? So today's my topic is the estimation of high density lipoprotein, right? HDL cholesterol is a class of lipoproteins produced by the liver and intestines. Okay, how and where these are produced, you might have already studied in your lipid metabolism chapter. Okay, I'm not going to teach all those details now. HDL is composed of phospholipid, one or two apolipoproteins, and it also plays a role in metabolism of the other lipoproteins and in cholesterol transport from peripheral tissues to the liver. So these are all the functions I already told. So what is the important role of LDL and HDL? These maintain the cellular cholesterol balance. So LDL will be transporting cholesterol from liver to the tissues. HDL will be transporting cholesterol from the tissues to the liver. So these two things will try to balance the cellular cholesterol. Okay. Mechanism of LDL moving cholesterol into the arteries and HDL removing it from the arteries. So HDL do the reverse cholesterol transport. See, if you see this cartoon, so this is like LDL, which is transporting the cholesterol, and it is pouring in the arteries. But what HDL is doing, it is clearing off this cholesterol. If these levels are very high in the arteries, then there will be a risk in developing coronary artery disease. Okay, so decreased HDL levels are atherogenic, whereas elevated HDL levels protect against atherosclerosis by removing cholesterol from vessel walls, right? So, and transporting it to the liver where it is removing from the body. So, this is the HDL, and this is the structure of the HDL. Okay, so it is having various protein components with specific functions, right? So, this is known as reverse cholesterol transport pathway. HDL cholesterol levels are inversely proportional to the coronary heart disease risk and are primary independent risk factor. So, if HDL levels are low, then it indicates the risk of CHD, that is coronary heart disease. So these are the expected values of the lipid profile. Here I am showing. So total cholesterol level should be below 200. If it is more than 200, that is in between 200 to 239, right? So this is 239. It is like borderline high. If it is goes beyond 240, that indicates the high risk. That is very high cholesterol level. Okay, so these are some of the parameters which we have to look into. And this is LDL cholesterol level. If it is less than 100, then it will be fine. If it increases more than 100, so there are various categories. If it reaches more than 180, that indicates very high risk. And HDL cholesterol should be always high. If it goes less than 40 mg per dl, that means the risk of CHD, that is coronary heart disease risk, will be very high in these kind of patients. Okay, so if it is beyond 60, they will be out of danger. They will be less risky, we can call it. So these are the some of the diagrams indicating how dietary fats and cholesterol are transported and stored and metabolized in our body. So whenever you eat dietary fat, so it is going to transport in the intestine. This digestion will happen, and these chylomicrons are going to form. Okay, so these again uh, goes back to the adipose tissues, and they are stored there, fatty acids, and these are also transported to the peripheral tissues. Right? So then chylomicron and remnants are going to store in the liver, and liver is going to excrete these excess fats or the cholesterol in the form of bile acids. So these are all I'm not going to discuss in detail. So this is endogenous fats and cholesterol. How these endogenously produced fats and cholesterol are transported in our body. How these metabolic pathways will happen in our body. So it is a good schematic representation. You can see from the liver, very low density lipids are going to form. So those in VLDL form, those are going to be transported, then intermediate density, then low density. So these low density lipoproteins are going to transport cholesterol to the peripheral tissues. So whatever these excess cholesterol levels are there in the circulation, these in the tissues, this HDL is going to transport back to the liver. Okay, if it is in the liver, this CHD risk, that is coronary heart disease risk, will be very less. If these LDL levels are very high in your blood, that will increase the risk of atherosclerosis, right? So how cholesterol will be excreted from our body? So after conversion to bile acids and directly into the bile and exfoliation of cells. So why is hyperlipidemia dangerous? So it is a figure which is showing. So it is a normal artery. You can see it is a clear lumen. Okay. So there is no block at all. If you consider this as a kind of pipe, so there is no blockage. So here fatty streak. You can see yellowish streaks are there in this artery, and this artery is showing fibrofatty plate. So slowly, once this cholesterol levels increases, so it will slowly forms these kind of plaques. These plaques are going to block the artery. So if artery is blocked, blood flow will be minimized, and blood flow will not happen through those arteries, so that the tissues are going to die. So especially heart tissue, it is dying means you are going to get heart attack and ultimately lead to death. So this is advanced vulnerable plaque. Okay. So this is kind of occlusion by thrombus formation. So once these plaques are formed, so intravascular thrombus formation is going to happen. So within the arteries, blood will not block, will not clot. Okay. If blood clotting is happening inside the arteries, that increases the risk of heart attacks. Okay. That is going to block the coronary arteries, and ultimately heart stops functioning. Okay. So this is the occlusion by thrombosis, we call it as, and this particular figure is showing critical stenosis. Okay, so it is almost completely blocked. This plaque is completely blocked this artery. Okay, suppose if this artery is supplying to the brain, then your brain cells are going to die. So the patient is going to suffer with a kind of brain stroke, and it leads to paralysis, right? So what is our today's objective is to estimate HDL cholesterol in serum sample. So you can see this funny cartoon. This number this patient is seeing. So he's saying like it's not a lottery number or the stock market number. It is the cholesterol level of this patient. Okay. So if the cholesterol levels are going high, that indicates the risk of developing various diseases like heart disease or the brain stroke, anything will happen. So total cholesterol score is the HDL, good cholesterol, LDL, it is a bad cholesterol, and triglyceride. So all together we are going to have total cholesterol score. So you can see very good diagrams here how these lipoproteins are formed. Okay. So outer surface proteins provide structure and control certain activities. So this blue colored thing is going to help in doing certain functions, certain activities, and controlling the, and it gives the structural strength to these lipoproteins. Okay. So cholesterol esters from core of the LDL can become plaque in the artery wall. So these are some of the cholesterol esters. So once these starts accumulating in our arteries, those leads to the plaque formation. Okay. So triglycerides are subgroup of lipids, and they store unused calories. They can later be used for energy. So this is the storage form. So HDL cholesterol determination, I just want to tell the principle of this experiment. When serum is reacted with polyethylene glycol reagent, all the low and very low density lipoproteins are precipitated. Okay. So the HDL fraction remains in the supernatant. The supernatant is then used as a sample for cholesterol assay. So this is a chemical based estimation of HDL cholesterol. If we add this particular reagent to the serum sample, it is going to precipitate LDL and VLDL, and then HDL will come onto the top of the tube. Okay, so that is called supernatant. That supernatant we are going to use as a sample to estimate the HDL cholesterol. So HDL cholesterol expected values are in between 33 to 75. If it is going lesser than this value, that indicates the risk of CHD. Okay, lower values are associated with increased risk of coronary heart disease. So there are two kind of methods for the determination of HDL cholesterol. One is the indirect measurement of HDL cholesterol with sample pre-treatment, and the second method is direct measurement of HDL cholesterol without sample pre-treatment. Here sample is the serum. Okay. So before doing any biochemical parameter, we have to know how to collect the sample. Okay. So specimen collection and preservation is one of the basic and most important step in the biochemical estimation of anything. So blood should be collected in clean and dry container. Fasting blood is preferred for HDL cholesterol test. Why we prefer fasting sample means your diet will alter these lipid profile parameters. If you eat very high fat diet, that will alter your blood cholesterol levels. So preferably fasting sample is recommended. Okay. In case of plasma, samples following anticoagulants may be used. So you know what is plasma, what is serum. I'm not going to teach that here. So HDL cholesterol value is stable in serum for 24 hours. So if you store at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, these HDL cholesterol will be stable, levels will be stable. And if you store at minus 20, up to 1 month, that HDL cholesterol levels will be stable. So those are not going to alter based on the number of days. Okay. So what is the normal range? 30 to 70 in the male, in the female 35 to 90 mg per deciliter. So indirect measurement of HDL cholesterol with sample pre-treatment. Here the principle behind I just told, LDL, VLDL and chylomicrons are precipitated by polyanions. So that is phosphotungstate we are going to use in the presence of magnesium chloride. Okay, so in the presence of magnesium chloride, so these are going to precipitate these things, LDL, VLDL and chylomicrons. So our aim is to estimate only HDL cholesterol. So we are just taking out these other components from the sample. So whatever the supernatant is there, this supernatant will be containing only HDL cholesterol, not others. Okay. So supernatant containing HDL measured by cholesterol enzymatic method. So this enzymatic method, the intensity of colored complex. What happens? One colored complex is going to form. That is red quinone complex is going to form, and that color is directly proportional to the concentration of the HDL cholesterol in the serum sample. So this particular color intensity is going to be measured at 505 nanometers with, that is green filter. So this is the indirect measurement of HDL cholesterol. So how to measure, that is one method which will be helpful in estimating the HDL cholesterol. So there is direct measurement of HDL cholesterol without sample pre-treatment. So here what we are going to do, this will happen in the two steps again. So first step, we are going to eliminate chylomicron, VLDL and LDL cholesterols by cholesterol esterase, cholesterol oxidase and subsequently catalase. So when you treat these sample with these particular enzymes, these enzymes are going to destroy these things. Okay. So chylomicrons, VLDL and LDL specifically we are trying to eliminate by using different enzymes. Okay. So this cholesterol ester in the presence of cholesterol esterase is going to form cholesterol plus fatty acid. This cholesterol reacts with oxygen in the presence of cholesterol oxidase and it forms the cholesterol 3,1 and hydrogen peroxide. This is H2O2. So this H2O2 in the presence of catalase, it is going to form water and oxygen. So this is the step one where we are just eliminating the chylomicron, LDL and VLDL cholesterol. So after the release of HDL cholesterol, catalase will be inhibited by sodium azide by reagent 2. So in the reagent 1, we are having these enzymes which will eliminate chylomicron, VLDL and LDL. In the reagent 2, we are having sodium azide which is going to inhibit this catalase path. Okay. Then the same thing, these H2O2 plus phenol and 4-amino antipyrine in the presence of peroxidase is going to form the red quinone complex. So ultimately it is going to react with the HDL cholesterol. So all these chemicals react and they ultimately form red colored quinone complex. So that red colored intensity is directly proportional to the HDL cholesterol. Suppose HDL cholesterol levels are very high, that color intensity also very high. If that HDL cholesterol levels are very low, that color intensity will also be very pale. Okay, that will be measured by using spectrophotometer or the calorimeter at 600 nanometers. Okay, so those are the two methods you have to remember, right? So direct and indirect measurements, and what are the different steps, what are the reagents used for, and what is the principle behind estimating this cholesterol, right? So I already discussed, when there is high circulating fats, those will risk the block the coronary arteries. So blockage in right coronary artery. So this yellow color thing has blocked this artery. Okay, that is plaque formation. So that starts like fatty streaks, then foam cells, which initially are macrophages filled with oxidized LDL. So oxidized form of LDL is very risk factor. Okay, it is going to initiate the plaque formation, and these plaques are going to become very tough and fibrous like plaques are going to form. So those will block these arteries permanently, and it may cause myocardial infarction or the cerebral infarction. So if there is block in the coronary artery, it is going to cause the myocardial infarction. If there is block in the arteries which are supplying the brain, that leads to the cerebral infarction. So abnormalities in plasma lipoprotein metabolism. So this is a histology structure where it is showing the thrombus, right? So this is a fibrosis happened in the artery, and this is the ruptured fibrous cap. So this fibrous cap has been ruptured. So there is an inflammatory region and cholesterol rich core. So if there is high fat levels in the blood, it is going to form these kind of pathological structures of the artery. Thank you. So if you have any doubts, I'm happy to clear. Have you understood why we are estimating HDL cholesterol and what are the two methods? Actually, only this much is enough for this class, but I thought to tell the brief introduction, then actual procedure and the clinical relevance. So we all will be speaking like good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and if cholesterol levels are high, it is risky. So these are the various reasons why these things are risky. Some of the things are non-risky. Okay, HDL is a good cholesterol. So please ask me if you have any doubts. Only 33 people are attending this class. Okay, fine. So any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Shall I ask questions then? If you don't have any doubts, I should ask some questions, right? How far you understood the concept. Okay. I just want to ask, what is reverse cholesterol transport? Anybody can answer. No? No one? Okay, fine. I'm going to end this class here. Nothing much I can demonstrate. I think from the next week, your offline classes are going to start. So that time you can understand actually these protocols. If we demonstrate by doing in the laboratory, if we show that protocol, you can remember better. But actual procedure is not that difficult, but interpreting the result and the importance of that estimation is more important. Okay, protocol you can just by heart and you can follow. This reagent, this many ml you have to add, and you have to centrifuge. This much of serum you should add. So all these basic protocols very easy to follow. But as a doctor, you should know the clinical importance of those parameters, right? What are the various methods we can estimate these parameters in a better way? Okay, so all these things you should know. Okay. Okay. Thank you, students.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.